Hey, Colin. Trying again, Colin. Hey, Les. Can anybody hear me? Hey, Les. Hey, Colin. Can you hear me, Les? I cannot hear you.
I can hear you, Sam, now.
Okay.
Hello?
Yeah, Colin, I got you now.
Yeah, it's a Bluetooth labyrinth,
Hmm.
How
but
you
I
doing,
made it through.
Sam?
Hey, Les. Welcome back.
How you doing, Sam?
I am doing on fumes. I pretty much stayed up all night.
Why?
Why? What'd you do that for?
Long story. But
Okay.
I'm excited in something here, and so I just want to share some of that. Colin,
Is it your closure programming by any chance?
actually, I'm excited by that. Yeah, so that led to Close Jupiter, which led to Braid, which is now something pretty cool. By the way, you probably saw my announcement about Braid, right?
I did. I clicked on it, but it was too early for me and way, way too early for you. I knew something was up.
Let's see, it's 11 a.m. No, actually, it's noon your time, right?
Yeah, but I think when you sent it out, it was like, I don't know, 9 my time, which should have been 5 your time, 4.
Or earlier, yeah.
Yeah, I was up pretty late too. I didn't go to sleep till around 3. I was working on C++ stuff and looking at the Boost library, and I actually looked into Clojure a bit after you mentioned that and Haskell. And you said you're using is not Haskell. You're using Scala, right?
No, I'm not using Scala. I'm using Clojure.
Or Clojure? Yeah. No, I'm trying to think of the language. You said the newer version. Is it called Clojure?
Is the new version. The
Yeah.
environment is
Okay.
called Close Jupiter. I don't know if that's
Okay. Okay.
it's mathematical style. It's mathematical style notebooks.
Yeah. There's a few of those for Python, and I was doing one for graph. Actually, doing one for graph databases last night too.
Yeah, but see, Jupiter is a framework that actually accommodates lots of back-end engines. Anyway, we're probably losing Les. Les, what's up?
Me?
You seem like you're out and about.
I always got things going on.
You out in the garden somewhere? Out in the yard?
Beautiful. Beautiful. It's a beautiful day today, Sam, where I'm at. Weather changed, got cooler. I just feel good about today. Really, I feel good about every day, just getting up.
Right. Looking at the ground from the upside is a privilege. Hey, so I wanted to take people on a tour. So I just wanted to come with two things today. Let me just say that. I've been spending some time organizing my thoughts about GCC and barn raising specifically. So I wanted to do another walkthrough of that. And then second, I wanted to do a demo slash walkthrough of this braid idea and see if it was something that we could actually try using. So I know there's only three of us, but no sense wasting your time since you guys are here on time. On the other hand, we could also do a round of optional check-ins as well. So anybody who would like to check in, please do. Okay, I'll go. My puppies are now 2 weeks
Okay.
old as of today, 14 days. In fact, if I get the adventures, I'll go bring one of the puppies so you can actually meet them. There's 10 of them. The bad news is Zeus is in his last week or so. He's not doing real well. I have an appointment for him next Saturday morning to see whether or not he's doing well or whether he should be relieved of his misery. So that's a sad day about a week. Hey, Dave. I'm just in the middle of a check-in. And then about another week and a half, I'm going to be in Chicago. So probably be out there Sunday through Wednesday of not this week, but the following week.
Wow.
And, so I'll be giving a talk on the top 10 reasons why chatbots fail. So that'll be kind of fun. Anyway, so I didn't get much sleep, but I'm pretty excited to be here because I got some things to show. Over and out for now.
I didn't know my mic was still on. You'll have to warn me, Sam, there. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned that. I just looked up the closure confusion that we were talking about earlier. That was, I was thinking you were saying eLisp and getting into the closure, and I was looking at a bunch of that functional type stuff. It's very cool.
eLisp is like 40 or 50 years ago.
Yeah, that's what I got into.
No,
that was for Emacs. Yeah, that was for Emacs, right? eLisp?
That's correct.
So so there's all kinds of Lisps, and there's quite a history, just like Linux itself. We went down there with Slackware, 1993, right? I won that one. But anyway, that's interesting because you were just talking about, again, something that I was looking at last night with the chatbots. There was a professional service that was showing how to the graphing and mapping for chatbots and different things like that. So I was down that rabbit hole, and that's interesting. And you're saying why they fail, and these guys are saying why they can give me a demonstration for 24/7 lead generation.
Mm-hmm.
So they would be your
all day.
Hello, there's somebody noise there.
I've heard it all day.
Maybe you could mute that.
I'm going to mute you for now until you get to speak, okay? All right.
There we go. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, this should be interesting to see this Jupyter notebooks. I think that's what you said. Yeah, Jupyter is used for a whole lot of different things. So
right.
I'm glad you dove into that. I haven't flexed that fully, but there's definitely a whole new world of online sketch pads and notebooks and fun stuff. So go ahead. Sounds great.
It's a new interaction/collaboration model. So not new. I mean, Mathematica has been there for like 40 years, but the rest of the world is catching up.
Yeah. So anyway, and nice to see you too, Dave. We're just geeking out here.
So anyway, Dave, we're in a round of optional check-ins. So I've done it. Colin's gone. Colin, are you done?
Yeah, sorry. We should have a protocol. Over.
And then Dave, you and Les have an option to go check in before we dive into what I wanted to show you guys today or any other topics.
Yeah, I don't have much to say. I'm here just to listen, and I think I'm going to go make myself a coffee and come back. That's all right.
So, just as a reference, Les and Dave, are you guys both on small screen devices or big screen devices? Because what I'm about to show is not going to be very useful on a small screen device, but it's much more easy to understand on a big screen device.
Yeah, I'm just on a small device there.
I'm on an iPad, so it's kind of in between.
Okay.
A little big.
And Colin, you're typically on a large screen. I'll assume yes. I've seen your setup in pieces. Okay, so Dave, you had the option. Les, do you would you like to optionally check in?
You want to know what's on my mind?
Well, check-in is typically, what have you been doing and what are you transitioning and how are you transitioning so that you can actually be present here?
Well, I'm working on more community action that interests me. That's mostly have to do with mental health issues, supportive program, educational program, holistic type programs that can help people give them physical and mental strength and try to find themselves that way without depending on medications. And I've had a lot of experience with that, with people with that, family members. And I just think, to me, now this is just my thought. This is just one thing I'm doing, but I'm doing other things with community. I'm also working with I love community food gardens because I think growing food is essential in every community. But anyway, we'll go back to the mental health thing. I believe that if you take the people, if you can inspire people and be able to work with them so they can speak out. If they can speak out, there's an army of people that are voiceless right now, let's say for many reasons, that if we can work with them to help them because of where they've been, Sam, their pain and their suffering, I think a lot of them can rebound and be a strength for their community and be able to make a lot of changes. This is just my theory anyway.
That's actually quite fascinating. I'm hoping we have time to connect on that. I'm actually a bit more knowledgeable about the opioid crisis than I would like to be. My close friend is in recovery.
Well, Sam, I'll tell you what it boils down to me too. Is just equal rights for everybody, social justice. We don't have that, and we need laws that completely protect everybody's rights. I don't care who you are. It just said we can't just live in this world and be able to bring people together and then be selective. And that's what I think it comes down to. If we're going to have an open mind, we want to be able to grow as individuals, as human beings, and we have to learn how to get along with everybody and understand everybody. So that's where I'm at.
I appreciate that, Les. Let's pick that up a little bit later. That's actually a topic that's of fascinating interest to me. Amanda, welcome. We were just completing our round of check-ins. Dave, Colin, Les, and I have all checked in. Mike is new. Mike, I don't recognize you. Amanda, you are not new, but we haven't seen you in quite a while in barn raising. So welcome back.
It's been 6 months.
Has it? You've been in Australia, right?
Yeah, 6 months exactly.
They have internet in Australia, don't they?
Sorry?
They do have internet in Australia, I thought.
Yeah, but I was sleeping when you were having a meeting. Yeah.
Let's see. Actually, I believe that the world's best TCP IP implementation stack comes from somewhere in that area. Is it New South Wales or is it somewhere in Australia?
Really? What is it?
It's the Internet Communications Protocol that's underlying, I think, probably Linux, if not Unix itself.
Yeah, I was near there.
Anyway,
yeah.
My mind is groggy, but it remembers something of that ilk.
Awesome.
Amanda, would you like to optionally check in?
Yeah, I'm tired. I'm half landed in the Netherlands. And there's lots of questions stumbling through my mind and things going on. And I try to see as many friends as possible, as soon as possible. And I start to see all my friends for the second time. So we're overtaking some of the things that we missed.
How long ago did you arrive back in Europe? Is it like a matter
1
of
week ago.
days?
Friday a week ago.
Oh, okay. So it's been a while.
Yeah, just a week.
You've had a chance to adjust somewhat.
A bit. Yeah, but it has been a very intense journey.
Uh-huh.
So I've been, we have been doing here like a combination of being human and tech. But I've been working together and I'm still, with the global standards maker for identity, anti-money laundering, know your customer, those global standards. And then on a vision on the human-centric web. And it's been beyond. And very difficult journey also. It still is. So
I'm curious
I'm just
about
like landing.
And how it might be well used as opposed to being corrupted. So clearly those are interesting questions to me.
Yeah, it has to do with the credentialing and then also tying it in the right way. And that actually is a job between the different pillars of society. So it's rather complex. Mm-hmm. It would open up actually a a new paradigm, which is what I'm always looking for. So this is how I end up in such just pure curiosity. People ask me, how did you get there? Well, I just keep questioning and asking and going. And yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with something called Liberty, which was an identity framework proposed probably about 20 years ago.
Really?
Less than Sun Microsystems and other consortia of companies. So going
You
all the way back.
You should send me that. Yeah.
It's probably dead by now, but I just say I'm kind of involved and interested in identity issues since at least 2 decades ago.
Yeah, just for the name only, it's very interesting because identity has been playing a role throughout. But please send me some link. I will have a look.
Yeah, I'll look it up. It's called Liberty, the Liberty framework from Sun Microsystems, which is now
Good.
Oracle. All right. Hey, any other words before we move on to optionally invite others to check in?
Yeah, just say hi to everyone. I see new faces, so that's wonderful.
So how many of us do you know? You know Les or Dave?
Colin.
Or,
and you.
Colin and myself? Okay, all right.
That's it.
All right, cool. You'll get to meet Dave and Les and Mike. Hey, Mike, we see that you're here. We have an optional check-in opportunity for you now, if you'd like, just to tell us at minimum. You know, I'm curious what time zone people are always in, and I'm always interested in what time zone people are in, and basically, you know, what got you here to GCC, and in particular this barn raising session, since you're new. If you'd like to share that.
Yep, I'm over there in Mountain Time, Colorado. Good to see y'all. Just share to listen.
Are you in Boulder or Denver or what other city?
No, I'm in Castle Rock.
Castle Rock. I'll have to think. I think I know friends in Castle Rock, but that'll come later. Okay.
It's identity, man. It's all about identity, bro. Exactly. It's all about identity.
All about identity. You came in as Mike Jablonski today.
There you go.
All right. Well, you know, your identity has been revealed as someone else.
And just to let you know, I knew the jig was up, but you had me there, and then you didn't. Then you did.
You mean Joshua?
Yeah. No, it was pretty good. I'll give him a 6 out of 10 on that one.
I thought it was over with Castle Rock, as soon as I said Castle Rock, that's where it ended. But yeah, I'm just on my Zoom phone. I'm barely waking up, so I'm just listening right here. And yep.
Okay. All right. I have something that I've been threatening to do for several weeks now, and I think I'm finally ready to do at least a draft of it. So this is another walkthrough for the co-visioning piece of GCC, and in specific, the barn raising component of GCC. So I put it into outline form, and I'm about to share it. So those of you on small devices might find this difficult to see, but I just wanted to take this opportunity to get it on the record, and then you can ask questions about it later on if you like, okay? So you guys can probably all see my screen here now, and at the top it says, what are we here to do in GCC? Anybody not able to see that right now? Hello? Have I lost you all? Can somebody say something?
Hello,
Yeah.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, so you're still there. All right, so raise your hand if you cannot see my shared screen. I can still see you guys. Okay, good. So I'm assuming you guys can all see this. All right, so I just put a few thoughts on this particular outline, and I wanted to at least take another shot at putting GCC into context, both for myself primarily, and then get some feedback from you on how this plays or how this lands or how this resonates with you. So in my view, some of the most important things we could be doing here starts with co-visioning. And by that, I really mean really imagineering the kind of place we want to co-create for ourselves and our future generations. I think that's a large part of what we do here, but I want to make that very explicit. And then secondly, if we can get some general ideas and some general consensus, what do we need to do to ensure that place, that society? That's what I'm kind of grouping into this theme called co-visioning. Secondly is, how do we make sense together? And some people call this sense making. For me, it goes across a wide spectrum of objects, from words to objects to interactions to flows of ideas and flows of objects and flows of energy and flows of information, to transformations of things, to think systemically. So this making sense of things is one notion of how we think systemically. I think that is one thing that we can do to unblock ourselves as well. The third big idea that I'd like to present here is this be open to co-creation idea. And that starts with a learning mindset. To come in saying, I could learn something here, and in specific, I could actually learn something by interacting with you, whoever the you is, either an individual one-on-one or a small group or whatever. And essentially, it needs this starting place that says, I could be wrong. I could learn something, I could modify something that I believe. And in my view, this learning mindset is nothing other than a scientific method. Now, these are fighting words with a lot of people, but I just want to get it here and make clear where it is that I'm coming from, okay? It starts with wonder, then goes to observation, goes to hypothesis, goes to testing hypotheses, going to verification, going to refinement if necessary, and then iterating that. That's a thinking methodology that I really understand as the scientific method. Finally, there's a key component here in this word called truth. I think too often people take this notion that, oh, there is no absolute truth, therefore truth is not to be, taken seriously. I think that's a very fallacious argument. I think it is true that there are no absolutes, but that does not mean that there are truths which are not meaningless. There are truths which are meaningful, and I would like to acknowledge that and actually, in some sense, pay respects to a lot of people who've spent a lot of time and effort in these, past hundreds or thousands of or tens of thousands of years to have us come up with the kind of understanding we have today. That necessarily then comes into what beliefs we hold. Because some of these beliefs are really the obstacles towards learning, the obstacles towards truth. And so looking at beliefs and how we hold them, and how strong they are, and how they could potentially change if they are changeable, is a key component of being in this learning mindset. Then the final idea I actually got time to write down here in outline form is, how do we make agreements? Without agreements, we're all each very independent. We potentially could be working at cross purposes. We potentially could be in conflict. So I want to look at micro agreements as a starting point. How do we engage one-on-one? And in specific, how do we learn to disagree well? Too much we see disagreement taking place not very well, right? If we disagree and we're uncomfortable and we have bad feelings, bad emotions, then we lead ourselves to conflict. We lead ourselves to power over. We lead ourselves to war eventually. And I think that there's an alternate method, which is, how do we disagree well so that we can actually constructively, both together or all parties involved, learn and co-create something, okay? So I think there's an opportunity here in GCC, if we can actually learn to do this, is to model it. How do we model a good disagreement? And then we want to scale, I think, because I think we're here wondering about the planet. We're all curious about what we can do to ensure this planet for our future generations, which means eventually we have to take what we do as impactful as at a planetary level. So starting with micro agreements on a one-on-one level, scaling up to larger groups and communities, to eventually nation states and entire global ecosystems, to eventually try and make our environment healthier. So to me, if I look at what's important to me in GCC, at least for now, I'm framing it this way, that co-visioning is important, Learning how to make sense is important. Being open to co-creation is important. And one of the most important things underneath there is having this learning mindset, for me, based on a scientific method. And then really exploring how do we make agreements? And in particular, how do we disagree but do it well? So as I look at the last 2 years of my participation in GCC, these are the ideas that popped up in this last week. I know that many others have been covered, and eventually some of those will make it again into this outline, but I at least wanted to share this with you and potentially get some feedback. At this point, I'm going to shut up and invite that feedback over. And if anybody really wants me to focus again on people, let me stop sharing, and then we can actually talk to each other. Or if people want to actually still look at this for a while, by the way, I'm going to send around the link to this outline, but I didn't want to send it first. I wanted to walk through it first and then share the link to this outline. Okay? So I will stop sharing. I will share the link so you can actually go there, and I will now stop speaking and invite feedback.
Don't know. I'm looking up something still.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that struck me is that we moved from the idea that we could have a disagreement, and you can also go from the other way around. So I've been pivoting a lot of, like, I miss like resonance, symbiosis, codependency, energetic exchange, moving from the whole back to where we fall apart in parts instead of from the parts to the whole. We can also move the other way around.
Agreed.
And that would be an interesting perspective because most of the time we're not able, or we forget it, or we get stuck somewhere in the middle. And so I would like to invite the opportunity to ponder that.
I don't have any fundamental disagreement with that. I think we all start with wherever the interaction is, whether it's at a strategic level, whether it's at a tactical level, whether it's at a middle out level. And at some point, there will become a misunderstanding. And that's somewhere in that conversation. I can't predict. We can't predict where that's going to take place. All I'm saying is we have to learn how to recognize it and how to handle it.
Yeah, and there's a series of, I forgot the letters. It's really ridiculous. So I'm in this game that is the me-we game that is, I actually invited them also to play 2 ways, from the more like survival mode of understanding of life, where we have to conquer our own being and then, maybe collaborate, perhaps. And then there's the other mode where we are completely aware and that we are able to sustain very well, and that there's abundance, and then you go from that side towards the other way around, and there's a couple of awareness letters, and I have to find those. I will find it during this call. It will be okay. Maybe I have it actually here. Oh. Wait a minute. It's on paper. I'm sorry, it's not on the computer. It's, what do I have? It's not true. No, it's not here. I will find it during this call. It will come.
All right.
Yeah. It's coming up. It's the ingredients of Tesh Steiner. It is a heart circle related, and we're basically always reasoning from survival mode, and it's so hard to get through to the next level when we get stuck in the idea of separation leading us all the time.
Yeah, I got a little bit of feedback. I like what you said. I made a conversation starter in the Global Challenges conversation space that you shared. I don't know. I shared it with Sam and Heiner, 2 people. You can see it there. I don't know how many people are going to join, but we can definitely explore that. So I don't know if you put the link in there for other people. I know I don't want to trigger Josh with another tool, but this sounds pretty cool, and we're going to get a demo of it today. I'm pretty excited.
Yep.
And I agree that exploration and reflection and iterative focus and visioning, followed by fulfillment via agreements, purposeful experimentation. Yes, Sam, it is investigative. It's a scientific method, and plus other things, and there is a kind of better and a relative truth, and I think it comes around that question of coexistence and humanism and all those, do no harm things, and it's progress of a kind. But there's always contentions, and I think if they're petty contentions, then they should be dealt with quickly and appropriately. And if it's trolling or that kind of, just misbehavior, as opposed to a true, germane contradiction, which I would call a maybe you agree to disagree, or you might have a misunderstanding, or you might have either a misunderstanding or some kind of, a problem in maybe personalities, or not hitting it off, whatever. There's a few dimensions where conversations get off, and I think 90% of conversation is not verbal is another thing. So we're adding new tools to it, hopefully to supercharge it. So conversation maps is what I'm studying in this light, and following people. I think that's what it's coming down to, and finding it's basically mind mapping. It's nothing new, but how do you navigate, and how do you make it relative? And chatbots are very sort of one-dimensional in that realm. So definitely I'm into the modeling, and what I'm finding is when I do too much modeling and show it to people, it's just like, whoa, that's too much information. So it is in the navigation, and I think it is in the doing and the showing. And I'm thinking, as purpose comes into it, you stop talking about it and mapping it out, and you start doing it. So it's kind of meta that the actual mapping is the doing, is what I'm showing. But it could, the topic could be anything. And I think once you have a topic of discussion, then you can explore in the tool and move the mind in the visioning and the experimenting, because really you're just writing a blue map, or a blueprint to the unknown as you're exploring. And there's some people out there that do some really good visuals and graphics, and I think you can capture pieces, pull things together. So that's definitely a big thing that I'm interested in here, and I hope we can keep that theme front and center, and build some visuals so that people can navigate or orientate to their preferred essence of engagement, where they can plant their seeds and make the best sprouts, and have people come and help them with that, and acknowledge that they're maybe not ready to do and show. Because once you know what you're doing, then it's time to start doing it. And that's the revelation. If I could do a better job, it would be figuring out exactly what I can do, as opposed to talking about doing it. So some people are at a different stage of doing things here and talking about doing it. And it would be nice if we could see that in a visual way, that they're actually making progress, and map out that knowledge trail, or whatever kind of a tool you have here. It's all about this mapping and memory. It's the same things coming back with. I think the umbrella theme is coexistence, if we can get there, right? And climate change is the elephant in the room, one of the big ones. So anyway, I'll just leave it there.
Okay, thank you for those thoughts. I want to welcome Joshua, aka Mike Jablonski, and Alex. We've done our check-ins. We've actually gone in a walkthrough of this outline that I shared. I don't know how much of that you guys got. So you guys are welcome to do your check-in, or welcome to continue on this round of feedback on the walkthrough.
Yeah, I really like what Amanda said, was starting with the whole and moving our way back, as opposed to the other way around. I think that's a nice change of pace, and a nice thing just for your brain to feel connected and feel whole, and then it can accelerate to those other levels once you feel that whole. And what you're saying, Amanda, really hit me hard about being fractioned off and just trying to survive. That's a hard state of mind and a state of spiritual health. And I think spiritually feeling connected to your own self as a soul and feeling whole that way is a good start. And then feeling connected to a group and a conversation is another good start. And then that elevates the level of dialogue. And I'm very curious. I'm coming back here today, Sam. I'm just clear, as we were talking weeks ago about changing the name from Global Challenges Collaboration to Conversation Communities or something such as. So I wanted to know what was going on with that. So I'm just being clear with my ask. And as far as my check-in today, I really like that idea, Amanda. Thank you so much for just feeling whole and feeling connected into the conversation today. So I'm very curious to find out if we're doing conversation or what we're doing. So thank you guys all for showing up, and good to see you, Santoshi pal.
Tis, welcome. Santosh, welcome. Alex, I think you were making a move to check in also just before Joshua.
Yeah, thinking about this mapping with indications of what individuals are doing and how they progress. But to me, what I think is the thing I want to see mapped is what the group's doing and how the group is progressing on its objective. It's that's the global collaboration objective. How is that coming together? I mean, because that's a collection. That's the co-vision and collaboration of individuals, and that's where the missing parts are. I was trying to connect the dots. Missing pieces are leadership, delegation, planning, accounting, physical, but people power is from local groups, so that's another aspect. Over.
Thanks, Alex. I have a response, but I want to let other people speak. Tis, Santosh, welcome. Are you guys there? You guys want to be visible?
Yeah, I like to be silent at the moment. I'm eating some peanuts, and so I'm happy. That's okay.
Okay. Santosh, welcome. I don't think we've met you yet. Anyone else with feedback on anything they've heard?
Yes.
Okay, Les.
I just want to add to what Joshua said and Amanda. As far as the conversation goes, Sam, I believe we're kind of lost as far as keeping it simple to understand communication with our families, with our community, with strangers in the world. And it's just it makes it pretty, the way we live and all, and the way everybody lives, and what it's a normal day-to-day responsibilities and struggles. It's kind of hard to think of new things or new conversations or new ways to do things, so it kind of holds us back, I believe. But I think we're trying to connect with all those things I mentioned, ourselves and our families and community and the world. We can't leave anything out. Myself, I think the name is fine because we don't want to limit our communication, and we have to know how to connect to the whole world as well as community. So I think it's all related. And heck, we even had to connect to nature. So, I mean, every living thing is, I think, you have to think of it in that respect as how we connect with every living thing and put it in perspective and how we can gain as human beings. So I think the communication, how we communicate on a daily basis makes a big difference. The way we talk with each other and how we put that in practice. I think it begins with how we communicate with each other on a regular basis myself, because people, I just listen to everybody, and when you start talking about things and people are all different, how they listen, how they learn. So sometimes if we could just keep our conversations more concise and simple, so everybody can understand, learn from each other more, I think. But that's just my feeling. But other than that, I think we've got a long way to go, and it's really what you're doing and all the hosts doing is bringing a lot to everybody's attention, on conversations that we can learn so much from each other. But I'm going to have to leave everybody. I have to go right now. I just wanted to leave that for thought. I think we're going in a good direction. We're going forward. We're learning a lot. So, and that's our purpose anyway, learning from each other and getting to know each other and learning how to have these conversations where we can all understand, each other, but also put it into action. That's where I'm at myself, putting it into action. Sam, it's good to you and everybody. I hope to come in again and join the conversation and enjoy everybody conversations. Thank you.
Well, enjoy your time with the worms, Les.
Yes, Sam. Take care.
Now we see Josh's puppy. Any other thoughts? Because I came prepared with 2 items to share. I know there's a lot that we can do on this one, but I have another one that I just wanted to share because I thought it might be a reasonable tool for us to experiment with, but I understand a priori how that might actually be controversial. So I just wanted to warn people that was the second thing that I've got. Alex, you have something?
Yeah, there's a system being used by Facebook to notify the people browsing who the other members are and how active they've been, whether, like the little symbol. It's a tiny symbol that appears after your name and it says conversation starter, for example. Or,
are you talking about in Facebook?
Yeah, in Facebook. They're using that system to signify people's level of engagement. And that same kind of system, the algorithm's reading how long they spend, how many words they type, how many replies they reply to, how many views and things like that. That algorithm can be used to reward people with value. If a group's making money off advertising somewhere on the website, that income can be distributed to people who have accumulated more mana, if you like, by engagement. These are people who are doing the work, people who are contributing time and attention and helping build the network, inviting friends and sharing ideas for Colin's map. Over.
Actually, it's funny you say that, Alex, because you're speaking the words of John Keldon. That's what he would say. Return on engagement, ROE. That's his equation for sourcing intelligent data butlers and agents and gameplay and card play. And
I have a feedback myself, but I saw Amanda also react to what Alex was saying, so I invite Amanda to speak.
I'm here. Well, my face was frowning because actually I don't know, this has been an interesting 3 years of different projects I have been into. First one, NewMap, which is really an experiment with community building, social architecture, resonance, deep resonance, nearly group symbiosis, not good. So dangerous parts of the experiment. New interface for the internet, combined from, bringing the parts and the whole into the interface of the internet and always being attached to the whole, and tuning into manifestation and reality from your intention, matching intentions as a synergy. So, and then I went to building food forests with an apocalyptic person beyond deep adaptation. And having like the opposite understanding of life, like everything is going to collapse, and a beyond of cosmic understanding about what to do and not to do. And in the end, we kept waiting for God forever. And then I went to, I'm sorry, I'm just summarizing where I am. And then I went to look at what do we do in a world with nations that we get to understand the internet in a way that is human-centric, that we are the nodes of our information, that we are the nodes of our action, that we are the source and not a resource. And how do we tie that into our current system in a way that we can unfold and open up and become the masters of our own universe, so to say. So I'm here now, and then I'm listening to this commercializing all the time, and this has been a huge topic the last 6 months. Like, we can transactionalize and commercialize and create fake realities for, forever. But the universe and, the planet is collapsing. I'm just like, and I'm getting tired also of it. If I really want to authentically make a connection to others, and I follow, for example, in my communications, what I'm doing, I follow really, and it's costing me a lot of money, guys. I'm following what I'm supposed to do because of my talent, of my understanding, of my connections, of the questions that is, are being put before me. And I go into that and I do my engagement. It doesn't look like a business. It doesn't look like a transaction. It doesn't look like a product. And I just think we're lost and we need to have new constructs for it. And I've been trying to build some of that, but I think there's lots of questions there that take us beyond the simple paradigm of you get a job, you just do your thing, you don't think. Please don't think. Please do what the boss says. Please keep producing nonsense because it pays our mortgage. Please don't question politics. Please don't question. We can no longer live like that. And this is just my insight of the last, now I'm from this week. It's no longer viable. We need to have global constructions that actually support our talent. And sometimes it's not measurable so much. But I really appreciate what John Kelton does and how we experiment with it. Yeah, for so long. So that's where I am.
I've not heard John speak directly about that, but I know that, Alex, based on what you're talking about with, some kind of metric-based notion of value, I almost have this aversion. It's almost a physical repulsion to something like that. It's a very simple-minded, simple metric approximation at a very complex notion, which is value. And why do that? To me, it seems like the reason for doing that is you're trying to ascribe static value to transactions. Like me pressing a character on a keyboard is going to be worth, what, 1/10 of a penny or something like that, right? But it shows nothing. It reflects nothing behind the thought. It reflects nothing behind, whether or not that's well considered and put correctly, or whether it's actually put into 4,000 pages. That to me has very little to do with the actual value of the thought itself. So that's why I have an aversion to these kinds of Shapley value kind of conversations, or time proxies or activity proxies or engagement proxies. So that's my feedback.
Is it possible to have a human value placed and not an algorithm? The way Medium does it with clapping, the visitors clap up comments.
Yeah, but why have it at all? Why have it at all?
Well, if you don't have it, we can't tell who's been, when a newcomer arrives, they can't tell who's been contributing and who hasn't.
Why not? Why can't you still have a way to introduce newcomers to who the people are?
That's a way to do it. Look at their star rating. Look at their star rating, their Hollywood power, or their marketing and coaching skills, their executive acumen, or their education, or not, or just look at them as a people and accept them for who they are, without knowing anything about them, and trust that they will develop the way you think they will.
Okay, Josh has his hand up.
Thank you, Sam. I'm still waking up. I think what Alex is saying is context. Contextualizing the conversation in some way, shape, or form helps for better conversation. How we contextualize in a transaction contextual model, it's a little bit confusing and difficult. So I think what Amanda's saying is, let's not transactionalize the conversation. Let's not contextualize the conversation to mold it around a model that we don't want. Let's transactionalize a conversation in no way, shape, or form, but also give value to it in some other way, shape, or form. And so that is a new ontology and a new thinking. And I just highly recommend to people to check out a new podcast that's out called The Portal with a really nice thinker, Eric Weinstein. And he just had the presidential candidate, Andrew Yang, who's a really incredible thinker and a really open mind. And this is exactly what they were talking about on the last podcast, is how do we take the people that are so-called abnormal or are on the spectrum or have learning disabilities, which is like 20% of the population of America, and allow them to have values beyond what you're talking about, Amanda, trying to just make your mortgage and do what the boss says and learn this way, but let them have another value for their amazing gifts. And I think there's sort of like a dark horse in the room. It's called the intellectual dark web. There's a bunch of amazing people here having a conversation intellectually, and that's a new movement that's happened. I mean, this is new. There's never been this many smart, intelligent, thinking people together trying to talk about how we're going to live on this planet together and coexist. So I think when Alex says something, let's not dismiss him, or if Amanda's like, let's not dismiss each other. I think Alex has a very good point. Even if we don't agree with the way that it's done, there definitely is a new ontology and a new contextualizing of conversations that we're all jonesing for. I know I am. I want to see this conversation go into a great place. So if anyone has ideas of ways to contextualize, I know Dave's got lots of ideas of that. And Colin is a great thinker of conversations. And I think we've got some beautiful brain power and beautiful spiritual humanity power here in this room. So let's have a great conversation. I'm complete. Thank you so much for letting me talk.
So I'm wondering if I spoke a little bit too forcefully. I was talking about my own personal revulsion to these kind of models. And maybe that came across too strongly. I would like to place an idea, which is that, hey, I really don't support transactionalizing conversation or typed characters and then computing some sort of value around it. To me, I just disagree with that whole approach. And that's for conversation, okay? The new conversation or the new model I would like to propose is, rather than transactions, to think of us all as having connections and relationships. So if I value my connection with, let's talk about somebody who's perhaps not in the room, okay? Because Tammy, for example, has been dealing with her sister and her father and hasn't been in these conversations for months. So I would like to recognize that her value is not diminished simply because she hasn't been participating lately. She had extreme value early. She set the context for a lot of this. And she, in fact, has been the pioneer behind Friday experiments, for one. Okay. So I dislike having these models of value where people dealing with life issues all of a sudden accrue less value in some sense, simply because of what they're dealing with. So that's why I really don't want to support so directly these simple metrics based on simple dimensions like character count or time in session or meetings attended or time on Facebook. Those kind of things to me are only measuring certain things, but very many important things are not being measured by those. Over.
I'd like to contribute if that's okay. Yeah, so you mentioned that you hadn't heard John Keldon mention about what Alex had said. And I think you're right. Alex is thinking about it in his implementation, where John Keldon is very much playing with pattern languages and, has been doing this for quite some time. And I find that finding the proper navigation in the Holy Grail is the thing he's looking for to make it valuable. For example, I mentioned his name. His name's mentioned 3 times on this video. If his system is working, he'll know about that, and he'll be able to pick up on that. And my guitar. That's not good. Okay, sorry. It fell on the rug. I think it's good. So anyway, I do feel that it's kind of a meta thing of the disagreement. I didn't want to disagree with Alex and say, no, that's not what John Keldon means. But it is important that we do have distinction, and where do we have time for that? That's what my game is trying to propose. And I say game, that triggers some people, but scientific method's a game. It's a game of exploration, and it's a serious game. And so if you don't know why you want to do it, it takes time. So maybe you don't want to do it. So if I'm gonna break out a map, it's gonna take my time and effort. I don't mind exploring and being generous with people, but at the same time, am I wasting my time? And have I wasted enough time to learn where, what doesn't work and what does work? And I think, Sam, you're getting to a point too where you want to break through to some more effective ways of doing things. I got a couple of quick screen shares to show, because I don't want to take over what you're doing. So if you don't mind, I just do like a 30-second thing here.
Okay.
Tell me if you can see it.
Yes.
Okay, so here's the game on here. So over on this side, you have tools that you can use, and we were talking about chat bots or whatever. But there's 3 basic things I have right now where you have a flow of a conversation. You have a problem because of a misunderstanding or a disagreement, and you can work on that. Or you just need a clarification tool to understand the essence of what's being discussed. So in this case, this is where you and Alex were getting onto this and possibly some of this. So if you can figure out this sauce, Alex can find ways to say, well, what if I did this and what if I did that? Well, great, but is this the place to do that? I'd say no. Is this the place you're interested in talking about this and figuring out what it is you actually mean? Yes, this is the place to say, I would like to figure it out. So you need a tool to figure out what it is you mean. Not to get too complicated, but, and down here, this is where I like to think that you're already in the flow. You're on the same page with somebody, and that's hard enough to have a conversation with somebody that you actually agree with and you think you're on the same page with. So you can, you might be working on sagacious things. You might be exploring, like we're kind of doing at Barn Raising, and I think we're getting on to some wicked problems and maybe, some knowledge transfer. But if you don't know why you want to play, then, so I think that's 30 seconds on that one. And then there's, let's see here. Yeah, this one, knowledge banking. This is Amanda's, efforts. And this is a really interesting read. And you get down here a ways. And, oh wait.
I was present. I was helping.
I'm looking for the map. I guess it's a link. He has so many links. Like his stuff is very deep. But I just wanted to show this knowledge, this knowledge banking, and I would like to show you the infographic he made of all the different domains that's involved in actually securing your knowledge at a government authorized, regulated. Like it's an amazing walkthrough. I spent, like he said, it's a 10-minute read. Like you get down here and it says in the top, it says 10-minute read. I was looking at that graphic for at least 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Right. You know, so there was 10 minutes of words, but there's like an hour's worth of drawing. So anyway, there's a lot of people doing some interesting things. And so to highlight these things, I think is very important. And I think Alex was trying to highlight some stuff, but he hasn't gone to the depth of mapping out what that secret sauce is that makes him feel like it's a winner. So, you know, he can spend that time, but just to, you know, and progress. And that's sort of the map I have, which is the journey or the quest, you know. And I think Dave was talking about some of that stuff, or the other guy, Les, he was talking about, you know, social and mental problems. Right at the beginning of the quest, there's a well where you have to come to terms with these things and get straightened out before you start making agreements. And so there's a lot of getting ready. And, you know, to Dave's thing, like or I think it was Les again, he said, why can't we have like a simple way to communicate? Well, communication's not simple. Like Einstein, it should be no more complicated than necessary. So I'll just stop with that. Thanks, Sam. And show us some magic, please.
Anyone else? Things before we move on to my second topic, Alex?
I was considering engagement, that human element of engagement where people are encouraged to submit more stuff, submit more content. I mean, in the digital world, it's all about data. If you haven't got the data, you know, you're poorer. So
then write it up.
The AI, artificial intelligence, it depends on the more data you give it, the better its decisions are.
I think we do better writing that up into proposals, and the announcements are good, and we get clarity. I think it's good, but with the maps, I'm hoping that you can go further and again have a blog or, you know, write about those things.
Yeah, but those metrics that were discussed, like the number of words written, the number of comments posted, the number of hours spent on Facebook, they're all metrics that don't have to be included because they don't have any specific value. They're just somebody working hard, putting in effort. And how often do you know if it's a real person or a robot? Over.
I'm somewhat, I don't know, get associative thoughts. And I have a lot of conversations actually about the weight of effort. So one effort is not, you know, of the same impact and depth as another effort. We are tending to measure effort by time put in. And it's also very important to be aware because we can only spend our times one.
Reminder, take medication.
Sorry? Oh, this is a automatic something of someone. Okay.
Yeah, Amanda, take your medication.
Who said that? A machine?
Reminder, everyone here, we all must take our medication.
Just for the record, that was Alexa talking to me, okay?
Thank you.
Easy, Sam. Go ahead, Amanda. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but I mean, I have a lot of conversations about the energetic impact of what we are doing and whether we are really with our action and whether we really build up towards that action with our intention and our being focusing there. And for example, if I make a certain post on Facebook, I spend the same 10 minutes and one gets to many people and it touches their hearts and it does something and it changes lives, you know, and it comes at exactly the right moment. And it's exactly that, you know, for example, Baby Thunderman had it lately. I messaged her something and she was like, oh, that was the key of, well, so many months trajectory and thank you so much. That is of another impact than just me sending a photo, just, you know. So how do you measure? It's, for example, if we would say, I love you 22.33 today. doesn't mean so much. So not everything is to be put in a metric somehow. And this gives us so many questions about how to deal with AI, how to deal with value, how to deal with reward. There's so much to be done. It just, yeah, that's what I just had to put in.
Yes, it's very complicated.
So I'd just like to re-emphasize my notion that, to me, I don't so much value individual transaction so much as I value the relationship and the connection. So if I know that I can always reach out to Alex and get some conversation on a particular topic, and if I can actually address that issue in 5 minutes, that's no less important to me than if it takes 3 hours with someone else. So I don't agree that these quantitative measures actually correctly or even proportionally represent any kind of true notion of value. I think it's something that's much more connected to, do I value this connection? Do I value this source? Do I value this resource? Do I value this person's experience? So that's where I would like to recognize value. And if so, then I'd like to establish that relationship over time, over the rest of my life, if possible, right? So how do I measure that? How do I model that? Okay. Occasionally we're going to have lots of interaction. Occasionally we're going to have not so much interaction. Just like I mentioned, Tammy's busy. We don't talk very much right now. On the other hand, I'm deep into Clojure and Jupyter. Maybe I actually interact more with Colin this week. He and I had a one-on-one last Saturday. Okay. But over time, over a lifetime, I value my high school best friend significantly. He and I haven't spoken in years. So these are the kind of models that I would prefer to think about when we're talking about lives and where value comes into my life. Yeah, Josh, you?
Yeah, you just reminded me, I don't see my sister that often. She's here with my nieces, and that little dog is actually my nephew. That's her third kid. She had a little doggy kid. So they're all eating pancakes. So I'm going to go value them and go spend some time with them. And my best friend from 20 years ago is driving up here this afternoon. So I'm going to get ready for him. Mm-hmm. And I value you guys. I just woke up. So when I'm just waking up, I'm on a different phone, which is the Mike Jablonski phone. But I didn't want you to think that I was trying to troll or something. So I was just, wanted to listen while I'm barely waking up so I don't Josh, how are you doing? I was up till 3 a.m. programming. So if you ever see Mike Jablonski, it's me just doing this. So much love to you guys.
Well, just a note before you leave, Josh, and that is, you're saving yourself from the grief of having to walk through this new tool that I'm about to introduce to the group.
Oh my God, wonderful. Thank you, Sam, for saving me the grief. I appreciate it. And if that new tool catches on, I'll be a late adopter. So
okay.
I'm done being, I think Colin called me out. I'm not an early adopter anymore. I've just been doing tech for 25 years. So I'm like, hey, if you guys think it's good, let me know 3 years from now and I'll adopt. So
have a good one, Josh.
You're an after the Catherine guy.
Yeah, I'm going to go. There's a little 2.5-year-old I sort of bonded with yesterday, my sister's friend's kid. And he was like, what is Josh doing? He's on the phone. He's looking at a screen. What's he doing with these kids? And he's like, birdie, a birdie. So I'm going to go hang out with the 2.5-year-old.
Awesome.
Okay.
Much love to you guys.
All right. Talk to you later, Joshua.
Rock that tool, Sam. Don't let me dissuade you.
Not to worry. Could we close up the previous topic and move on to something else that I also wanted to share today? Any last words on that previous topic? Going once? Going twice? Okay. It'll come up if it needs to. Hey, the second thing I wanted to introduce today is in the second bullet that I had in my outline, which is the sense-making area. Sense-making to me is deeply dependent on shared group memory and shared group notions, ideas, models, object models, terminology, glossary, experience. But one of the things that I've heard over the last several years, not just the last 2 years, is, oh, Facebook is a great place to meet people, but it's not a great place for conversations. In fact, I've experienced this myself. You know, I can't go back and necessarily find a thread that I thought was worth responding to because even search in Facebook is horrible. It doesn't let me really find everything that I need to find. And even if you save certain posts, it's really hard to really get it back. You have to know how Facebook deals with URLs. And so we've experimented before with Slack, we've experimented with Basecamp, we've experimented with Lumio, we've experimented with Kumu, we've experimented with who knows how many other things, okay? I just this morning, so this could be premature, but I just wanted to walk through something that I found, which to me has some promise, but it also has some concern. So I'll talk about both. But I'm going to spend about 3 or 4 minutes walking you guys through this thing that I just found today. And let me see if you guys find it interesting at all. And if so, we'll talk about it. And if not, we'll move on to other more interesting topics, okay? So right now, I'm showing this thing called Braid. And it looks a little bit complicated because I've already seeded it with a number of things. But the basic construct is these columns. Like, look at this column on the left that's got this purple unblocking at the top, okay? Here there's one that's called unblocking. It's a hashtag unblocking. Here there's one that's got 2 hashtags, COI and barn raising. Here there's one called co-visioning and coexistence. Here there's one called Colin and 2019101005, which is today, and barn raising, okay? And there's others, okay? So the idea here is if you have a single mechanism for conversation, then all the topics get piled into that one channel. Whereas if we say, hey, we're going to break out this little thread, or here I think they call them braids, and call it onboarding, then take this one here, you know, the one that I've highlighted right now where my mouse is going. And if you can see, I'm typing down at the bottom. So we can actually respond to this particular conversation thread or braid and not pollute and not distract other ones, okay? Now, if I put a star on this one, then this is one that I'm interested in. By the way, all of these have stars on them because these are all the ones that I'm interested in because I seeded all of these. But if they're not starred, they're not going to come up for you unless you choose for them to come up when you're mentioned, okay? So if, for example, you're a user of this space, like Colin is, and I go in here and I type, you know, and I can then pick Colin or Heiner or just Winder, they've already joined. So I pick Colin here and I say, so what do you think of coexistence? And this, again, furthers this conversation regarding co-visioning and coexistence. And if somebody actually doesn't find that interesting, they don't have to participate. If somebody says, oh, well, I just want to participate on this onboarding thing. So I seeded this onboarding thing with some instructions on Braid itself, the Google Drive, a link to the Google Drive where all of us, well, many of us share information. I talk about how hashtags are used. I talk about our behaviors collection experiment, and I have a link to the Google Sheet that has that data. I have my view, my outline of what is GCC, and that's linked here. And then I have my COI one-pager linked here. And then you'll notice that over here in barn raising, I put a link to the barn raising Trello. I didn't put that over here in onboarding because this is just a barn raising item, this Trello thing. But if we choose to make it a GCC thing, we can put it over here as well. So I think you get the idea. The idea is we can have multiple parallel conversations going on, and each of them can have some focus, and they don't need to distract from others. Anyway, so I just wanted to show you this thing. It's called braid.chat. And sorry, what's going on here? What happened to my screen? Can you guys still see it? Okay, it should be back.
Yes, we do.
Okay, so anyway, I want to stop sharing now, and I just wanted to say this is a tool that I ran across that potentially could bring some sense to our parallel threads of conversation, and so I just wanted to present it for possible consideration. Before you guys respond, this is a project that's open source, It's available for free right now. You contribute what you want to the people that are running it. You know, they don't actually have any mandatory minimum or anything. But I do think that if we do use it, you know, I'd be inclined to support them just to make sure that they exist. But since it's open source, even if, you know, they go under, the open source is available and I can put it on a separate server and theoretically it can still run. So that's the thing that I thought would be useful in a sense-making or group memory or conversation topic that I wanted to share today. Over.
Is it Trello?
No, that thing was called Braid.
Oh.
So there is a link in the chat to Braid. And let me scroll back so that I can actually give that to you. In fact, here it is.
How have people done this until now?
What?
So to understand what has been happening everywhere, how have people done this until now? Because there's a way, you know, that people use with and without tooling. So for example, I have been informing myself a lot via Colin. Colin has endlessly summarized and showed me maps and and so there's always ways in I find with people that, you know, inform me on the background of many videos, or I just sense something is happening, or there's a specific thing that I see in the page that we have group, and then I tune in. So there's many different ways that we keep ourselves informed, and I'm just wondering how we are all doing that. Sure.
I wanted to mention the version updating. Developers of applications who study the industry are often issuing updates for security patches and that because they're working on it all the time. Security issues come up over a period of time and have to be patched and updated all the time. There's new versions coming out all the time for the browsers you use every day and the software you use every day. So if an app's not being maintained by its developers, it'll develop security flaws and become unusable and a liability. Over.
I'm not sure I got the gist of that, Alex. Your microphone is not very sensitive, so it's really hard to hear. Your audio is coming through at a lower volume for me than others. And the second point is, I thought I heard you talk about security and patches. So I'm still trying to understand how that responds to what I was trying to say.
I'm looking for tools that are supported by their developers, that's all. If it's not, it's an issue.
Yes and no. I mean, open source is supported typically by a community. So if we like it, we can actually ourselves support it. So it's not a go, no go item as far as I'm concerned.
I don't mean donations, I mean technical security patching.
Well, I mean source code, patching, security issues, yes, etc. We got at least 3 software engineers in this group, you know, Colin, Josh, perhaps myself, maybe others. Anyway, it doesn't sound like there's much resonance here, so I will drop that topic.
I was just out of the room. No, I think Amanda makes a good point, and I think again what I was trying to say with my long rambling thing earlier was when you're thinking about how to advance knowledge, which is what you're doing, if it's serious and you want to put time into it, then you should respect your position and advancing your position and be ready. Like, you know, it's interesting. You have to be careful working with Amanda because she'll come back to you and she'll say, well, I'm still thinking about this and I think I'm going to put in another proposal here or there. So, you know, she's going to keep you busy. You know, if you show interest, she's going to hold up her end of the bargain and be shaking bushes, which is interesting. And it's that kind of thing that, you know, Josh was alluding to, you know, that purposeful generosity, and Sam as well talks about generosity, that's involved in this process. You put yourself into it, and you don't just do that willy-nilly. And so once you find something, and if we could all put our best foot forward with whatever that topic is, we could use some of these tools to assist. And I think the thing I'm trying to find right now, this is a guy that's got so much information out there, Tim, that I can't find this diagram again. I'm still looking for it, by the way. If you know where it is, the one I'm thinking about, Amanda, the big one with looks like all the different domains of data storage and identity.
Right. You mean the picture that you just described about the human-centric internet?
Yes. I'm still looking for that.
Oh,
like it's a link.
I'll fetch it for you. No problem.
Yeah. Put it in the chat, please. Okay. Yeah. Continue on, Sam. So yeah, whatever tool will get us to putting our best foot forward and doing things. And what I'm trying to say is what I can do, instead of showing a map with 1,000 things, like, Amanda was saying, I walked her through some maps. Like I had tons of nodes and tons of profiles, and I'd go to the profile and saying this guy, this, basically it's like going through a photo album, saying this is my trip here and this is my trip there. But, this is all dynamic data, and context sensitive, very context sensitive, which I think is important. So the way that I can get other people engaged in that, which is the secret sauce, is to, one, figure out what the topic is and why it's worth putting your time into it. Number two, having a conversation with the person so that we can get down the essence. And then three, maybe coming back with the startings of what I think that I thought they said, so we could move the conversation forward in a graphical way, and define terms and, move forward. Whether you do that with Trello, whether you do that with mind mapping, whether you do that with, WordPress, whether you do that with Medium, but you got to do something and show by example. And I was not thinking of that piece because I wasn't ready to publish, and I didn't, and as another note, not to keep this very long, but when I first came here, I got challenged to show my maps, and I felt it was very preconceived. I wasn't ready. I didn't know what I was doing. So I'm still, in the meta phase, being asked to, show what you're doing. So, following conversations and trying to figure out how you're going to design software and navigate a person's knowledge trail and how much to show at any one time and how to contextualize it. It's complexity. And if you're not serious about it, then it doesn't really matter what tool you're using. To make it so that it's as easy as possible and available when you need it, that's the return on engagement that John Keldon was talking about. So it's about having the data that you need when you need it, and the people that are helping supply it should be, it's sort of like reverse Patreon, because it's useful, because people are using it, because people are reading it. And let's just hope it's not a bunch of fake news that they're reading, getting rich off fake news. There's got to be a way to validate it. And I think that's part of the big thing that Tim's doing, and Amanda's looking into. And it's a very interesting project. So I think we should go over that graphic at some time, if not today. I'll just have a quick look at it. Anyway, I was a spiel again. Sorry. Thanks, Sam.
I think addressing some of the blocks towards group sense making is why I'm interested in different collaboration spaces. HipChat is one, Slack is another, Trello is another. We've tried a bunch of these things.
Asana.
To be really good conversation spaces. Slack could have been, but I think there was an obstacle that some early people experienced with Slack. This one, brain.chat, has some very interesting capabilities to split out conversations so that each conversation can be focused. And then I'm curious about how you merge those conversations then eventually.
But, I put up a post and it's private. Nobody can see it.
No, I can see it.
But it says at the top of it, it says this is private, only you and Heiner can see it. I don't know how to make it public, basically what I'm saying.
Well, I made this group, this entire space private, because I just wanted to see if we actually liked it. But if we actually made it public right away, we get a lot of people who didn't understand what GCC was, and we'd be down that rat hole. So
well,
yeah,
I think some preparation, just preparation, like have something and display it through these tools that makes it value added.
Yeah, and that's what I did, trying to seed it with a number of these posts this morning.
Yeah, I guess that's where I failed. Like, and then you're going to have like a painter, you're going to have a ton of colors, and it's going to just be mud mixing once you have more and more. I think that the secret sauce is it's a bit context sensitive and cognitively sensitive. Like the person has to be on the same page with you. So it's almost like you've kind of planned to make a map together or not. Not, here's my map, will you play with me?
Well, getting an idea of how this thing can be used, I think, is a learning curve that we are all experiencing. Like, for example, the ones that I created had hashtags. So people who are interested in certain hashtags would be able to search on those hashtags and see those conversations. I think the one that you've got with me, you, and Heiner, if we put a hashtag there, for example, I'm pretty sure that it could be searched. So I think we're all just new to this tool, but I'm just laying out there what it can do that I see that other systems find more difficult. And I'm just inviting feedback, knowing, of course, that any new tool is going to be an obstacle to some non-trivial subset of the group. It's always that way, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't be exploring new tools. It just means we have to recognize that some people just will have an affinity to new tools. Some people will just have a inertia towards new tools. And I'm curious to see how we look at evaluation and adoption. Enough for now from me.
Yeah, well, I could show you my screen. It says this is a private conversation, only mentioned users can see it. It's like got a little private guy over top of it. So if you shared your screen, I assume that message that I put on there isn't visible.
Well, let me
or it's visible to you. It's visible to you, but it wouldn't.
It is visible to me. So I'm going to share my.
Would be visible to. I think Jazz is another guy.
Yes, he's also joined it, right?
Yeah, so I didn't bother him.
10 seconds. I'm going to share it. Okay, I'm going to let people know what Colin's talking about. Over here on the right, see this little pale blue box? It says this is a private conversation. So it's got me. It's got Heiner because Colin tagged me and tagged Heiner here. But I'm thinking that if we actually put a tag here, like put it as, call it barn raising, for example, and then put a tag there. Now, anybody who searches on this barn raising tag can see it, and it's no longer a private conversation. See that?
Yeah. Okay, there's your secret. There it is.
I'm just letting you know we're still learning how to use these things. So, good question.
Is there a tool? Is there a right mouse button tool there or something?
Sorry, Alex, what were you saying?
Are the drop-down menus coming from the mouse? How do you get the drop-down menus? There's no menu list on a lot of these new apps, and you've got to look for it. I find it hard to locate the menus if I want to take an action on a card or change something.
Wait, are you in this space right now? Let me see.
No, I'm just asking if there's a right-click, if there's a mouse button, right-click selection menu that drops down when you right-click the mouse to allow you to take actions and first, do stuff with the things on these apps.
I think we're down a rat hole now. If you're not in the space, I don't know what you're talking about, Alex.
When you're entering text on a card, sometimes you want to format that text in a special way. How do you locate the tools? Is there a right-click menu? A button on your mouse that right-clicks and a drop-down menu appears magically. It says edit, cut, copy, paste, etc. Does that work?
Are you saying that's how it ought to work? Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking, I saw you do something a few minutes ago, and I don't know how you got those commands. Did you use keyboard shortcuts or?
Alex, are you in the tool? If you're in the tool, it's a lot easier to show you. If you're not, then
I was watching you do it on screen.
All right. Sorry. At the risk of boring other people, let me go through this one more time. Okay, let me share this screen one more time.
But tell us how you executed the command, because we can't.
Alex, I don't know what you saw, so I don't.
We can't see your hand on the mouse. We can't see your two hands. We don't know which one's on the keyboard.
All right, let me try this again. I clicked over here in this particular conversation on the lower
Left,
okay?
left or right, left or right click.
Sign, okay? And the @ sign allows me to tag various different people. However, if instead of hitting the @ sign, I hit a hashtag, okay? Then these are hashtags that have already been used somewhere in this space, and I can actually assign one of those hashtags here. That's probably what you were seeing, Alex.
No, what I'm saying is, how many buttons have you got on your mouse?
I've got a standard 2-button mouse with a scroller.
Well, when I clicked on it, something else. If I click on it, I've got to know which one to click, left or right.
Alex, I'd be happy to go through this, but right now I'm thinking we're losing Dave and Colin and Amanda and Tees.
Well, you clicked on it. Was it left or right?
I typed, Alex. I said I typed, Alex.
Type to hash. That's a shift 3, buddy. Clean up on card 7, aisle 7. Clean up on card 7.
Okay.
You've lost me. You've lost me totally. I'm not going to use that app.
This is like
It hasn't
piano
got a menu.
music.
How do you get a menu to select your options to change your card or add to something to a card?
Alex, if you're not in the space to play around with it, and I'm only describing it to you verbally, it's going to be much harder for you to understand.
Yeah, I thought you said you clicked on that card.
I said I typed the @ sign and I typed a hashtag.
So you didn't need to click on it first.
Well, obviously I have to click in the right place where I want that @ sign.
Aha, right. Now, was that a left or right click?
Sorry, Alex, I'm losing my patience here.
How do you get the menu? Is it left or right click to get the menu? Can't tell me if it's left or right. There's only one
left
more
click, Alex.
Okay, not right.
Can
Not
I
right.
be pragmatic?
Yeah, I found
Try
it.
it out,
Look.
Alex. Just try left. It doesn't work. Then try that right. Then you know it's working. Something happens.
So anyway, I saw a big map that Colin was showing for a while. Did you want to walk through that, or did you just want to tease us with that, Colin?
Well, I just was breaking up the customer service call there, and
thank you.
I was thinking that I just wanted to put that people can pause that in the video and they can see that, and there's a link there. But I think it's good just to get it out there. It's way too much to discuss, but it's funny. At the top of the article, it says it's a 10-minute read. I'm pretty sure of it.
Tim doesn't count the pictures, Colin. That's what Medium does. It only counts the text.
Was it a user-friendly program?
Oh, I'm so silly. I thought Tim put it on there how long he thinks it takes people to read it.
Medium does that. It's not Tim doing that. No.
I won't admit that I'm serious.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I can see that this experiment in introducing a new tool was not the most successful experiment that I've done. So I'm willing to consider that feedback. At that
point, I think it was, but what you need is to have a recognition that, and I'm sure you know all about this and being a speaker and stuff, that some people are going to need prep to say, like, if you have any problems, you can see me, so that they don't feel like they've missed out. Like, it's almost like being in class and how do I get there, right? And it's like, how do we know that there's spaces for getting into details? I think that's important in our conversations. Again, one of the meta messages that I'm saying, like, how do we keep people on track and put stuff in the parking lot, and what's the essence? So once you have the essence, you just say, well, can you send me a link to that tool again? I want to find that thing we were working on. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Anyway.
All right. So those are the two things I wanted to share today. Now, everything else is up for grabs. We have another 25 minutes if you like. So any of the topics are valid. I'm going to sit back and listen now.
So Sam, you introduced Braid. So, and it's new to me. So before I'm going to learn from it, I first have to become a member in Braid. And then you can start walking through this tool with us. Then you can get feedback on that tool. Now you just introduce the tool without me knowing about it. So I'm late in, so others are in already, but I'm new. So I don't know anything about Braid, just seeing the link and trying to open it and finding out I first have to become a member. So once I'm a member, then of course you can introduce the tool with success, but not now.
Okay. Is this Thijs, by the way?
Yeah, this does. Yeah.
Thank you, because you're not visible. I can't see whose mouth is moving.
Right. That braid looks a lot like Trello.
I think Sam sent out an invitation link for everybody on the barn raising chat. I saw it this morning. So, it's quite new, and I think he's just introducing it. And before he puts the investment into training people, it's like, who's interested? So people are trying to use it before we should be clear on that agenda that we're just checking it out. And, it does look like Trello a bit, but Sam says, it has hashtagging that sets it apart a bit. You can split off conversations. There's 101 tools. Just give it a spin if you're interested. If you're a conversation mapper like me, you'll probably give it a look. Anyway, I'm not sure. Sam taught me that by putting a hashtag on there, it made it from being private to public. So there's, it looks kind of cool. Like, I like Trello, and if this thing's a little bit more powerful than Trello, but again, why are we using it? And that comes from going through that little quest map and knowing what your quest is, or else you're just playing. And if it's not serious play, I don't really have a whole lot of time for it.
It might have a cheat sheet available with all the keyboard shortcuts. That'd be nice.
I was thinking we could have like a tool show where we could go through and maybe take 10 minutes and go through the success you've had with your tool and show why it's worked for you or what you would have wished it would have done. Anyway, it's an idea. Right from the abacus if you want to bring it in.
Just for the record, if we were to do something like that, I would do a walkthrough of two tools that I leverage quite a bit. One is a diagramming tool that I use called Axon, and the other is an outlining tool I use called Workflowy, which I showed earlier today because that's what my outline is done in. I do all my thinking in those two tools, FYI. So for the record, those would be the ones that I would introduce. Over.
And I think that would mean that your mind is a bit clearer than mine, Sam. You're at 20,000 feet with your topic, perhaps. Although I know you're very, very wide, but I think you're better at organizing down and focusing at 20,000 feet, where I'm flailing around at 40,000 feet, jumping from one thing to another thing. And it's once I get to 20,000 feet, then I go for the more text-based, trying to put it in a file system kind of thing. But when I'm trying to, put it all out on the table and, be creative, I find the mind maps just really work for me. So yeah, I would like to highlight maybe some things. I'd take some suggestions if somebody had a suggestion of what might be worth seeing for 10 minutes. Not now, mind you. We have an agenda and plan on a tool show or something, where everybody brings 2 or 3 tools. It'd be to the party, their hammers and their nails and
If you can get enough people involved in that session, you'll have good feedback. If there's many people, you won't get much feedback.
Well, it's recorded, and if you prepare and use your time wisely, it could be quite powerful.
Is it a tool barn, Colin?
Not much of a barn without tools. Now, come on.
We could have a shed raising. Put the tools in the shed.
Spring cleaning, maybe too.
Any other topics anybody would like to bring up? If not, we have no need to keep ourselves, here for a full 2 hours. But I just came with those 2 things to share, and thank you for the feedback. I learned something today. Amanda, good to see you again.
If anybody wants,
likewise.
Dave, Colin, Alex, good to see you guys again.
Bye already. Bye.
Check out the options here.
There's a map of the internet based on the Tokyo subway, which is the better one. if you can Google that, you'll probably find it somewhere. It's really interesting.
Anyone else? Going once.
Little musical outro.
Now I got to bust out my violin.
It was a good one. Thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you all. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.
Thank you.